Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So you've decided to get back into Moo and you don't really know where to start. Well, not to worry, in this video we'll be breaking down everything you need to know about server selection, character selection, and a few other tips and tricks that will help you along your way in starting your Moo journey. Stay tuned. All right, let's get into it. So you sign into Moo and you are pretty much confronted with the most important decision you're going to make in your Moo journey. This will kind of be the foundation of how everything goes. And why do I say that? Well, server selection plays a massive part in your Moo adventure. Uh, I'm pretty sure the last time you played, I know the last time I played, there were probably only 3 servers available. And since then, they've added quite a few more. And now you've got to make the choice of which one am I going to play. Well, let me share with you the pros and cons of each one of these. As you can see, the first 3 ones, which are going to be Helheim, Alfheim, and Midgard, these are the older servers. They've been around ever since the beginning, and as you can see, they are pretty populated. And then you go lower down to the newer ones, and you can see they're not as populated, not as busy. So 3 things we need to consider when picking a server is spots for leveling, spots for farming, and gear availability. As for Alfheim, Helheim, and Midgard, you can kind of see that these servers are pretty populated. And I've seen screenshots circling around of people having to wait hours, you know, just to access the server, access it, their characters. Unless, of course, you have Gold Channel, which you can see there is still some space available. So in terms of farming and leveling potential, you know it's going to be a lot harder to find spots, good, decent spots, because all these spots are already taken. Even if you were to go into the Gold Channel, I believe you'll find a lot of the decent spots are also taken, which will cause an issue when it comes to leveling or farming. However, on the flip side, because these servers have been around for you know almost 2 decades, you can be assured there's loads of gear available. Any gear you need for your characters will be available at good prices, as people have been farming and crafting for many years. So when it comes to gear availability and even the price of that gear, will be relatively cheaper than what it would be in some other servers, let's say, that are newer, that don't have the amount of gear available. On the flip side, if you were to go to one of the newer servers, you'll see that for leveling and farming spots, they're not as populated as the first few, meaning that leveling and farming spots are way more accessible to you, which will make it easier to level up your characters and farm for items such as bliss and excellent items and such. However, because some of these servers haven't been around as long as the original ones, you might find that gear availability is sorely lacking. If we take Elia for example, it's not even 2 years old yet. So the amount of gear available doesn't compare to the first 3 servers, which isn't a problem if you are aware that going into it, that it might take you a little bit longer to find the gear you want, and you might pay more for that gear in relation to what the prices would be in the older servers due to supply and demand. But it doesn't mean you should write it off completely, as there's still potential there to make good amounts of bliss crafting and selling stuff, as there will be a higher demand for your items in those areas. So taking that into consideration, go ahead, pick your server, and I'll meet you on the next page. You've gone ahead and selected your server, you've logged in, and now you're presented with a character selection page. In this section, I'll be going through some of the characters that we all know and love, as well as some of a few of the newer ones, to kind of help you make an informed decision on which character to play as you're starting out on your Moo journey. First off, we have the Dark Wizard, the Dark Knight, and the Elf. These are the OGs, these are the ones you know and love. I remember from my youth just spamming Evil Spirit and Devious 3 for hours on end, hoping for that blessed drop. We also have the Magic Gladiator and the Dark Lord, which require you to have a character for passing level 200 for the Magic Gladiator and 250 for the Dark Lord. And along with that, we also have a lot of newer characters like the Grow Lancer, the White Wizard, the Alchemist, which has been the latest release, and a few other ones. So with all this taken into consideration, who do you pick? As you can see, a lot of these characters are whited out, so they can't be selected unless you first purchase a character card from the WebSense store. Some of them also require you to have a character reach a certain level and then purchase a character card, like the Grow Lancer, for example. You need a character on your account that's level 200 before you can unlock the Grow Lancer. The White Wizard, however, you can get from level 1. At this point, one thing I feel I need to bring to your attention is the White Wizard and the Dark Knight are not what they used to be. I've met many players starting out in Move, and they go for the nostalgic Dark Wizard or Dark Knight off the bat, and they have a very hard time as these characters are not nearly as strong as what these other ones are and require a lot of investment, a lot of gear just to be average at best. Yes, they do have their place, and if you do enjoy playing them, I'm not saying don't, I'm just saying not yet. When we're selecting our first character for Mu, what we really want to consider is the ability to first get to know the game again, understand the game again.
And that is easier to do with a character that can handle anything the early game might throw at you.
With all that in mind, and being confronted with all these options, you might be asking, Mutilation, which character would you then recommend someone start? Well, that will kind of depend on your playstyle. Whether you're completely free to play or whether you don't mind spending a little bit in the X shop in order to get a few characters unlocked, we'll go through the various options that we have available. If you're completely free to play, I would recommend starting an Elf. She is probably the stronger of the three on the lower levels, especially. She'll level the quickest between 1 and 400 and will help you really achieve some early game success, especially if your goal is to reach a Magic Gladiator or a Dark Lord. The Dark Lord has had its rework recently, so it's an extremely strong character to play, probably the strongest in the game. However, caveat to this, the Dark Lord is a very gear dependent character, so I would not recommend him as a first character for someone to start, as there are things you're going to need for him to be able to do and perform at his best. Those being horses and ravens, which can be quite costly, especially if you're just starting out, and with a success rate of crafting a horse and ravens being 50%, which in my experience doesn't feel like 50%, feels more like 20%. I digress though. The Dark Lord is a great character, but I wouldn't start him off the bat. I would get some resources to the side on another character, especially when he hits 400 and his root skill, which is your 400 skill, requires you to have a Divine Raven, which are quite costly in the game and could really hold you back if you don't have one. If you're choosing to go with a Magic Gladiator, if your goal is to play a Magic Gladiator, that's a good shout. I've got one at very decent level, and he might not be the strongest, but he's definitely the coolest out of all of them. So if a Magic Gladiator is what you're after, that's a very solid choice. You're going to need to get a character to level 200 first and then unlock the Magic Gladiator. He's not the strongest, but he's definitely the coolest. With all his gear, his 200 weapon, his wings are also pretty thick. So a solid selection for kind of like a mid-range character in terms of strength and survivability. And then as an additional option, if you are willing to spend a little bit in the WebZen store, I would recommend a White Wizard. This character is really strong at the start of the game and just continues being strong all the way through. Not as strong as the Grow Lancer or the Dark Lord, but definitely holds his own. So that's one I would definitely consider if you're starting out. The reason why I'm recommending a character that's strong in the beginning, such as the White Wizard or the Elf, depending on your playstyle, is these will help you navigate the early game mechanics a lot better with a lot less frustration. I would say your first character is all just about finding out what Mu's all about. A lot of things have changed since I played last, so having a character that is able to tackle all the early game content with ease just helps me wrap my head around all the changes that have taken place, all the new maps, all the leveling styles, and farming spots, as well as stronger characters will help you drop more jewels, especially early game when they are crucial. So that's why I would recommend an Elf or White Wizard to start off with. Now that you've created your character and you've logged in, you'll probably be in one of two places. You will either be in Laurentia or in Noria if you're an Elf. and I just think for all intents and purposes it would be rude not to, just to hear the sound of the blacksmith. Oh, nostalgia right there. Takes me back to my youth, that does. Anyway, I digress. So, starting out, you've logged in and you think to yourself, okay, what to do? First thing to do is open your inventory. You'll see that there's a little box here. That is a pentagram box. If you want to throw it on the floor, the pentagram will drop and you'll see a whole bunch of stuff. So pick all that up. So, pentagrams are what they've introduced a little while ago. It's all elemental based. So they come in 5 flavors, being darkness, wind, earth, water, and fire. So pretty much the whole game is based around this, especially from 300 onwards. Pentagrams become a crucial part of your new experience. So get to know them, understand them, what each one does. So get acquainted with pentagrams and urtles, which are these little things here, which sit inside the pentagram, as it will definitely influence your game going forward. I'll make another video in the future regarding pentagrams and urtles and all the different types of different levels that is available to you. But for now, if you press Alt, right click, you'll open up your pentagram, and this will allow you to slot your urtles into your designated spaces. So there are 4 main urtle types, with a 5th one as well. The 4 main ones cover attack and defense when it comes to the elemental side of things. So the first one, which is Urtle of Anger, this one increases your elemental attack. Then you get Urtle of Blessing, which increases your elemental defense. Urtle of Integrity, which increases your elemental attack success rate. And Urtle of Divinity, which increases your elemental defense success rate. There's also a 5th Urtle available called the Radiance, and these come with their own specific set and options, and you're going to have to unlock this in your pentagram in order to use that there. However, for the time being, we don't need any radiance in this. So for now, I'm just going to right click, that pops into place, and as you can see, the pentagram is located. So a few other things to take into consideration and a few other quality of life issues that they've added. First thing you're going to want to do before you go out and kill any spiders is press U, which will be your skill imprint page. Here you'll see skills you have available. If it's grayed out, it means you don't have that skill yet. It means you still need to go out and acquire it. But as for now, we've got force available, so we're going to put that into slot 1, save that, which puts it there, which then allows us to use it. So within the Moo Helper, which has been added, you press Z and it opens up your Moo Helper page. Here you'll be able to imprint your skill. As you can see, that you can use the basic one. Also, a few options that you have: regular attack. So with the regular attack, if your character runs out of mana or AG, it'll switch to just beating the shit out of them until you recover some mana and AG, so you can carry on attacking as normal. Original position. So whenever you start your Moo Helper, it will lock your position in place to wherever it may be. However, if your character moves to pick something up, it'll move to that place, and this original position determines how long it takes for your character to come back to its original position. I always set mine to around 4 or 5. Anything more than that, and it just loiters too long. Anything less than that, and you might miss something that you've dropped because it's so far away, and the character moves towards it. But if the timer runs out before he gets there, before he's able to pick it up, you'll go back to your original position and you won't attempt to pick up the item again. So I would say around 4 or 5 seconds is kind of the sweet spot for that. If you have any buffs, this is where you'll add them. As currently, we don't have any buffs, so we're not going to worry about that just yet. This is your attack range. So what you want to do is you want to kind of see the range on your skill, which this one is 4. So you could potentially put that onto 4. However, because we're starting out, we put it onto 8, as it is just a lot easier to skill everything in sight. As your skills get stronger and you require less movement, you'll set that to the specific skill, normally around 6 to 7. Root skills are normally around range 6 to 7, some being 8. So you'll set that accordingly when the time comes. As you can see, After that, we've got the obtaining tab. This is where you kind of decide everything that you pick up once you get farming. So here we have a few options first. When it comes to repair items, repair moon, repair guardian, I just click all those on at the same time. They repair all your stuff as you go. Another thing to consider is what to pick up. If you put require all items, your guy will literally pick up every single thing that's dropped on the floor, and it'll fill up your inventory within very little time, which can be quite frustrating. So I tend to just use acquire selected items. We put on jewels and gems for obvious reasons. Then, especially early game, when you have no money to your name whatsoever, then we also have excellent items. Excellent items are always a good one to pick up, as you can sell them for quite a bit and acquire Zen that way as well. And WebZen has a few events running from time to time that have event drops. So by clicking that, you'll pick up the event drops as they happen. Also, we have another one, let's add an extra item. So some of the items are not covered in that section. So let's say you're farming in dungeon, for example, and you will need imps or guardians. So you put these in this box here, and so it'll probably let's delete these, start again. So you want an imp, press imp, say add, and then now every time an imp drops, it'll pick it up and put it into your inventory. We save changes, and then away we go. Another quality of life improvement that Mu has added in recent years is the personal store. So gone are the days of spamming gens and walking around town just typing what you're after. Now all you have to do is press P. It opens up the store. Every single person that's got a store open in the server is listed here with every single item. Seeing that we're a Dark Lord, let's say I want a scepter. So type in scepter, hit enter, and it'll bring up all the scepters that are available to us in the personal store and the prices that they go for. So we see kind of there's a great scepter here, good options, excellent damage, attack speed, always decent options. However, we don't have 5 bless for that. What we could do is right click on that, and it gives you the opportunity to write to the person selling it, and you can say, listen here, will you take 2 bless for this, 4 bless, whatever it may be, make him an offer, and hopefully we get lucky. So that's the personal store, and you'll be going to it very often. So all these characters you see here, this is the guy's personal store. There's a few more personal stores around here. Personal stores can only be opened in kind of like the starter map. So Laurencia, Devias, Alvland, and Noria. So you'll find a lot of players have dedicated store characters in those maps. They keep open pretty much 24/7 to sell all the shit that they acquire throughout their time in Mu. So in honor of the channel, I've decided to make a Dark Lord as the channel mascot. Here we have Mutilation backwards, because for some reason when I tried to create the name Mutilation, I've realized that Mu doesn't want you to use the letters MU consecutively in the name of the character. So in order to kind of get around that, I've decided to write it backwards. So I wish anyone luck who tries to read that. If you can read it and you can pronounce it, amazing. Just let me know what it actually sounds like, because I'm not going to attempt that. So with the Mutilation channel and some of the content I've got planned, I thought it prudent to start channel character to kind of show the different levels and progression of a new character starting out, along with a lot of other higher level content which will be focused around my main party as well. So stay tuned. I'll be doing a guide on the best way to level a character from 1 to 400 shortly, using this little bad boy as the protagonist for that. One last thing, as you come out, you'll see the fairy elf here. So what you want to do is speak to this person, get a defense and attack buff, and then go out and hunt some spiders. And that brings us to the end of our video. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe for future content. We've also created a Discord server, and we'd love for you guys to come hang out with us as we discuss all things Moo, whether it be a class discussion, whether you're looking for trade, you're looking for a guild, whatever it may be. Just come and hang out and let's have some fun. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next one.